Hey everybody, welcome to my Zone 9B Tampa Bay Florida garden. I am doing the March edition of my vegetable slash main food garden garden area. I do have food growing all throughout my property, herbs, medicinal things, fruit, vegetables, but this is where I grow most of what we eat out of the garden. And so let me turn the camera around and show you what's changed since last month. So right off the bat, things are looking super green here in March, and I've changed up a lot. So I had a huge truckload full of compost I picked up, and I've spread it all around my garden, and I made a few new little garden beds, including a little one here and one right there in front of my bed rail fence. So in it, I actually had this inspiration from the tattoo I actually have on my arm, which is all the flowers of people in my family. So this is going to be a family tree garden bed, or a family flower garden bed. So first I have gladiolus coming up, and then I have sweet peas growing up. So those are still new. I'm not going to be able to grow everything in the same season because all the flowers do not bloom in the same season, but I can do all the flowers in the same area. So that's my plan. But I also am experimenting with some red tatsoi, and this is not a flower, but I've grown tatsoi this year, and I really liked it, and the stupid squirrels got in right there. So I am experimenting with that. I'm going to do one more succession in the garden beds, but over here I have started tatsoi on both sides. The sweet peas are growing a lot faster on this side for some reason, so I'm pretty excited about that. My coral honeysuckle is a native plant here. I'm growing it in a few places in my garden, but it's just going crazy right now, and it looks so pretty. I'm just in love with it. I get so many hummingbirds to my yard because of this plant alone. I have no hummingbird feeders either. It's just because of that plant. Let's see. And then this is my pigeon pea. I got quite a bit of peas off of it last season. The tops of it died back, and I cut it down to about here, and it's already flushed back out with all this new growth, and it's already got flowers again. So coming in the garden, I have my key lime tree here, and then over here my papaya tree that I probably will end up taking down. It just ended up with water inside of it, and I don't think it's gonna make it. But here I have seedlings for days. Here's basil. This is this same plant. So this is sweet alyssum, but it's the royal carpet, I think, or Easter bonnet, something like that. And it's super tiny, like compared to regular sweet alyssum. But when I grew it in this winter sown container, the plants are bigger, but it's so you can tell that it worked on the root structure because the plants itself are bigger, but it hasn't started blooming yet. And then I do have some more pigeon peas. I'm going to be putting these around the yard. They make for great forage, but also chop and drop for extra nitrogen source, good windbreak. Lots of reasons to grow that plant, and it's super fast growing. Here is some more liatris native seeds. I've planted so many, I even gave some away, but those will be growing throughout the yard and in my pollinator garden. Here's some thyme, some sage, some goldenrod, which you can see I've had visitors, but you know what? It's fine. It is what it is. These did not perform. I have some more basil here, some more basil there. I've already planted basil out in the landscape. It's been so glorious. I have some fig cuttings here off of my LSU purple fig. So I'm excited to do some experiments with different placement for those. It's my junk corner. And there's my pretty new potting bench. I love it. This is an annual, some sort of flower, which, oh, this is super exciting. So I'm gonna try to zoom in on this. I don't know if you can see it. Oh, come on, focus. Okay, you see those little tiny things all on here. So at first glance you would think that those are a problem, right? Well, at some point this plant, I don't even remember the name of it. It was a gift and it's just an annual, but it did come back, so I guess it's perennial here. At some point this plant has had aphids, and if you look super closely, God, I wish it would focus. Come on, focus. There. You see how there's that little hole? These are actually aphid mummies. So what happens, and which is why I grow that plant right there, is aphids will take over a plant. Then things like this, like, see the aphids on it? It's fine, but the plant is living, it's fine. They will take over a plant, but then little tiny parasitoid wasps will be attracted to the aphids, actually lay their eggs in the aphids. Once the eggs are laid, the aphid is the host of the wasp. So then the wasp takes over the aphid, it cocoons itself inside the parasitoid, or the parasitized aphid, and then it emerges out of that little hole. And then, so these are just aphid mummies, they call them. They're not living aphids, and this plant will be completely fine. But that's just a little side note, and is why I grow so much of so many plants with these tiny little flowers, because those parasitoid wasps are my pest control for my garden. I don't spray anything, everything is completely natural, and I rarely lose a plant to a pest because of planting for those types of beneficial insects. Anyway, so side note aside, there's Benelli. So everything is looking really well. So I have some sweet peas growing on this trellis. The sweet peas, some of them did well, didn't get the timing great on all of them, but there's a few hanging on. But I have an abundance of Kentucky pole beans that are doing really well. Each trellis here has Kentucky pole beans along all sides, so I should be having plenty of pole beans to put up for the season, or at least eat fresh for the season. Over here I have a little pollinator patch in calendula, my rosemary. So there's calendula, and then there's green dill, maybe white dill, ami, something, but I forgot kind of what I planted, so I'm just waiting for things to come up. On this side I have dill planted, more dill over there. I love dill so much, so there's a lot of it. There's some beets. These are bachelor buttons, so I'm incorporating a lot of flowers into my vegetable garden this year. So in this pot is a dahlia. I don't know if it's gonna come up or not. I'm hoping. We will see. I paid a lot of money for that dang thing. I was gifted 2 blackberry plants, so got those in some nice rich soil. Let's see. Along that side I have my artichokes, and in between the artichokes, let's see, well, I planted a little bit of rosemary along the border, and then the alyssum, and then my plan was yarrow. So my plan is coming into fruition, because this is a drier bed and it needed to have plants that could thrive in drier conditions, and all of these plants do so. So artichokes, yarrow, sweet alyssum, rosemary, an herb and beneficial insects paradise. And artichokes are really prone to aphids, so I'm really curious to see what happens in this area. Let's see. Over here, more of the same. I have my bachelor buttons. Some of them are starting to get a little size to them. And then the pole beans, they're starting to get some size. There's carrots. My plan was the carrots on the inside of the garden beds, or on the inside of the trellises. So that's working out well. I also have some more alyssum blooming, and then this, I want to say this is white dill, but it's some type of wildflower I planted in there. I also have some chamomile growing, so that is nice. So here's another chamomile plant. So it's just gonna be beautiful in the next couple months. So many herbs, medicinal things, another chamomile. Oh, I can't wait. I cannot wait. It's my favorite season of the year. And now I'm singing on camera, so that's embarrassing, but whatever. So, well, let's see. This is my other key lime tree. I recently did a big prune on that. I'm trying to turn it more into a tree and not a bush, because this area gets kind of congested, and I really would rather have some more airflow to that tree also. It did have some sooty mold on it last year, and I'm trying to prevent that. So that is a work in progress. I'm hoping this one gives me fruit like the other one did last year. So in this garden bed, the sun is in my way, sorry, but I have a bunch of lettuce. I'm kind of like I'll plan. Oh look, there's a butterfly. Hold on. Where's it going? Going to the yarrow. I'm trying to get it on camera. Aw. Bye. Anyways, I am kind of the fit in what you have space for type of gardener. And so there's a lot of lettuce here, which it's not going to be too much longer before I'm going to have to just eat all of it as baby lettuce, because it's getting pretty warm. So I have lettuce in between my onions. I have several rows of short day onions. There's some more over there. But I have replanted my peppers. Like, this was going to be an all pepper bed, but that changed because I didn't have room for it yet. And you know what? Peppers are perennial, so I can kind of stick them wherever, and then they'll be fine. But all my peppers look a little sad, because with peppers, they transplant kind of poorly if they still have leaves on them, so I ended up cutting all the leaves off of most of them. But this one's already putting out a little jalapeno. I've got broccoli, like about 20 broccoli plants in here. I've never grown broccoli, which is odd, but I've never grown it. And so I'm hoping that the broccoli is not grown too late. Because if you look here, this is a type of mustard green, and it's going to flower. But I love it when greens go to flower. They're really pretty and cottagey looking, so I let them because I can get the seed off of them too. But the flowers, these almost look like broccoli-esque to me, which I know it's not a broccoli plant, but originally all of the brassicas came from the same plant. We have just bred them to be what we want them to be. And so also in this bed, you'll see these little seedlings here. This is all daikon radish. And so I've learned that when you turn the foliage of daikon radish into the soil, it is a natural root knot nematode suppressant. and I have had root knot nematodes in some of my soil, and I want to plant them under fig trees because apparently figs are prone to that here, and I want to see if I can plant them underneath the fig trees, if it'll suppress the nematodes. So that's an experiment. Let's see. And then my cabbages are doing great. They're not the biggest, but I'm about to harvest them. I've been taking the cabbage greens themselves, like the big leaves, and we've eaten those. So like this one, it's a pretty little head of cabbage, but those will be coming out, and other warmer season crops will be going in, such as these are ground cherries. I got a volunteer basil. Oh look, this ground cherry has a blossom. That's so cool. They're not even transplanted yet. So those should be growing pretty big fast. Let's see. This is a nasturtium plant that I must have planted a long time ago, and it finally came out of dormancy somehow, and it showed itself. A bunch of weeds in this pot. There's some greens in this pot, some dill in this pot, a little bit of everything. Here's some, let's see, oh, I also have kale and some more alyssum growing, and then some more bok choy. I am in love with bok choy, and I made kimchi out of it, and it definitely is growing better in the fall, but I gave it another go around for this the spring, so we'll see if I can get another round of kimchi out of it. It's delicious. Let's see, I have 2 more pepper plants here. This rack fell off the wall. These are trombino squash. They're like a zucchini replacement, and they grow up a trellis, and I'm pretty excited about trying those. Let's see. There's a few plants there, and then some climbing nasturtiums on both sides. This is another mustard plant that went to seed. You see how pretty the flowers are? So I let them go to seed. They're great for the pollinators. I can make my own seed. Kind of all around beneficial to let your plants go to seed sometimes because they're really pretty. All my yarrow starts here. I've been planting yarrow everywhere, and this is why, because look at it, it's so pretty. So here's how it kind of comes up, and it's super ferny and textury, and then the flowers dry a little bit like a little ball, but I use it in tea, and like I said, the pollinators love it. Super, one of my favorite plants to grow because it's super easy. There's another squash plant, more nasturtiums, and then this is the big difference, is this whole length of the garden bed. The garden itself is one big, it's about 2.5, 3 feet wide. I would say 2.5 feet wide of compost and decaying leaves underneath that, and it's all going to be squash and flowers and herbs and all sorts of fun things. Peppers, I had to put a couple of my peppers in there. You see how the peppers look? They'll come back. It's just, that's what happens. Here's some of the status that I transplanted. Oh, look at this. These are more cauliflower, or this is the other broccoli. I had some leaf miners. Lots of basil that I just sprinkled in. There's lots of nutsedge. That's a bane of my existence. Daikon radish. These are a new yellow squash variety I'm trying this year. There's a couple cabbages that I transplanted. Those will get pulled. So there's cabbage, broccoli, cauliflower, squash, loads of flowers in here. This is the end of my tatsoi. It's looking pretty bad now. So we'll see. I want to see if maybe this one will flower. That's why I haven't pulled it out. But we'll see. That's another squash plant that I forgot to water. There's cauliflower and this and a couple onions. There's some more more yarrow and alyssum, more statice, more basil, another pepper. These are acorn squash, and I planted far too many, so I need to figure out which ones I'm going to transplant somewhere else or just take out. More daikon radish. So anything that I plant will flower if I don't. Look at that. Oh, I thought that was a worm. It will flower, and that will be part of my border. So it's not just the product that I'm planting it for, but the flower too, because I like to get my own seed from things. And then there's more daikon radish, another cabbage, another squash, volunteer loofahs, more, let me see. Oh, there's nasturtiums. Those are butternut squash, another yellow squash, alyssum. I'm gonna pull that. There's more yarrow. There's a sweet potato. I did not grow a sweet potato here. And yeah, so kind of a little bit of mixture of everything. Dill, and then potatoes, and then more onions, and then more yarrow. I put these over here because they're a different variety. And then more alyssum, and then more carrots. These carrots are getting good. Here, let's see. Look at that. Oh, that fat boy. Nothing better than a homegrown carrot. I'll put this in some dinner tonight. Pick a few more. But yeah, and so basically that is my garden. Oh, this portion of my garden in this time of year. So I apologize if that was a little more lengthy than normal for this section of the garden, but it is March and there's a lot more things growing right now and a lot of changes that I've made, so I hope you stuck with me to the end, but if not, thank you for watching my other videos. Well, I guess you wouldn't know that if you weren't watching to the end. Anyways, thank you for watching my videos. I will be posting throughout the week the rest of, and I'm talking with a carrot, the rest of my garden, and so stay tuned, and thanks again. Bye.